Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the delay. I'm going to be changing things up in my YouTube channel. I'm still going to do the political stuff, still going to bounce around on things, but for relaxing sake, I'm doing D&D, being in the Dungeon Master. Hope you guys enjoy. Now, something from the Dawnforgecast, very good group, I'll enjoy him. This is a while ago, and it didn't take me a while to get this up and running, but he's talking about half-orcs. And as the title of this is, Rape versus Half-Orc and Marriage. And this is might be because I'm a newbie in this, but he had put out this video, and it's a very good video. Dawnforgecast does put out a lot of good videos. But he made a remark, is this the interpretation of this, is this being made to sound more politically correct? And as anyone who knows me, I'm very much against political correctness. There's a reason why the games I've done, earlier stuff, we're going to talk about them later on, how we've had some silly, some serious, and dear God, what the hell's going on incidences. Now, for me, I think the idea of having rape as the production of a half-orc, and I'm in agreement with the guy with Dawnforgecast, yes, I think rape should not be really much that drastically changed. I think the bigger issue when it comes down to most people is that when they produce their half-orc, that's not their thought on the background. Now, I mean, many of the half-orcs don't treat like that this is part of the background or has an influence on them. And this is one of the other things I've noticed while playing and being a DM. Most people, when they pick up the half-orc, it's more or less, give me the stat bonus. They're looking purely on the mechanical, not the story element. And for me, personally, I like the story, I like the elements, I like role-playing, and they look at the idea, if I get knocked down, I get brought back to life with one hit point. And for someone like me, it's a bit of a disappointment. Not that I hate the person doing this. To me, I'm disappointed because I see a lot more with role-playing. When I play my games, I do my best to give the opportunity for mostly role-playing, which I get with a lot of players. Now, the biggest remark about with half-orcs, where they're talking about how half-orcs could be a product of a loving marriage, I think this is one of the areas that, when it comes down to it, it's much on the DM and the player's idea of how they work with this, because just because you have a marriage doesn't necessarily mean it's a happy one, a positive one. That it talks about how in different editions, different things, that on the planes they're making alliances through marriage and stuff like that. Well, one of the most important things to realize, not all marriages are happy marriage, and you're looking in medieval fantasy time periods, these are arranged marriages. The idea of a happy marriage becoming through an arranged marriage will not always be there, and if you're looking at, excuse me, somewhat barbarian tribes of humans and orcs working together, the idea is marrying off your daughter to the orcs to cement a relationship, to cement an alliance so your family or group doesn't get slaughtered. Doesn't mean she'll be happy about it, and the fact of the matter is that consummation of the relationship could easily be marital rape. One of the other things that I think is a very interesting theory and concept that can be used in the development of players for their characters and whatnot. Now, it's pretty much, this is coming down to, from what I've dealt with, most of the time people just look at the mechanics. And to me, I think it takes away a lot for that. And one of the other things is that half-orcs can reproduce with half-orcs and produce more half-orcs. And I think that might be the other part. And yes, I know it's different fantasy worlds, but essentially that I've seen a lot of people who kind of want to skirt around the rape issue, going that no, they're the product of two half-orcs, so they produced another half-orc. And for me, and someone like that, makes a lot of sense. I'm not going to go screaming, oh no, you got to use this, but because essentially this is your character. I don't want to take away what makes your character unique and special. And though I don't doubt that Dawnforgecast guy does say this, that this does seem to be more of a politically correct angle. And even though it's politically more correct, I think it leaves a bigger and greater option for the players. Because, yes, rape is still there. It's not in your face of saying that it's created through rape, but allows the players, however they want to build it, that marital rape can still happen, which is an interesting theory. Though, I think the other thing is, if you're the product of rape, how do you really bring that into being for your character and players? And someone like me, it's one of the other things is asking the player if this is how you're conceived. I'm going to do another video on nerdiarchy, but this is why I do like somewhat of a background and backstory on players and characters, is that when you start looking at this stuff, the background of who you are, where you came from, and I'm not like this idea that I want this deeply thesis page, a thesis style of how your character came to be, but the idea is the basic, most important things. How does he view the world? Did he come from a happy marriage? Did he come from a happy family? Was there abuse? Was it production of rape? Were you an urchin? A lot of the backstories that you get on the rolls for 5th edition D&D to give you kind of an idea of more fluff to your character. And that, I think the other thing is that most people don't want to deal with the subject of rape in their games because this is a fantasy world. Now, I'm not saying no, it cannot be, because in my games, the idea is however dark this goes is up to the players. We're all adults. We're all adults who have played D&D, fantasy games, role-playing games for many, many years. It is up to them, and having a group of adults who have their own stories, their own backgrounds, their own hiccups. If you say, hey, I can't handle this, I will be the adult and say, okay, let's tone it down, this is bothering someone. But off the top of the game, I've already said, anything can go in these games. I'm not going to restrict based on any political leanings or political correctness. It's that, hey, if this bothers you, bring it up and we'll stop. But it's more or less that I will always ask at the end of my games, hey, was this too much for you? Did you like this? This is one of the other reasons why, with something like this, half-orc rape, I don't leave it just willy-nilly. I actually go in depth and ask and try to draw out more out of them. And in a modern age of highly political correctness, do I think 5th edition, the guys who made D&D, lean towards more of a political correct angle, trying to open their ideas and allowing more people in? I think a tad bit was in there. I think we are not alone and immune from the political correct nature of the world. But, as a person who loves D&D, who loves role-playing, who quite literally will go through old editions to add more fluff and lore and spells to the books, I'm not opposed to leaving the classical stuff in there because they're there for a reason. I think what makes a lot of these 5th edition is that it goes back to looking at what made it great to begin with and doesn't let go of it. That literally grasps on and saying, hey, this is what made us great. Let's look at the old stuff. It's one of the reasons why when I've done my few campaigns so far is that I've grabbed from older editions, different editions, so players will have something that may be old but twisted in a new way. This is why the idea of half-orc rape, I think, as horrible and horrendous as it may sound, it's one of those I agree. It should stay like that. Pathfinder, I think, is a prime example he does it in his video, a very good description of how it is. I'm very much of that mindset that the half-orcs are products of rape. Though I don't doubt that another concession for me as a DM and with the universe and the lore stuff is that, yeah, you may be the product of rape, but it could be several generations down the line that you were, and you just stayed in half-orc communities. And that, for me, is a way to be on both sides of the fence. Like, yeah, your ancestor, yeah, you were a product of rape for great-great-great-great-great-grandchild of that, but you have moved by that, and I think the reason why is that I've seen so many people not wanting to touch that subject in their heritage of half-orcs. And honestly, I've played enough games that most of these people, when they bring up half-orcs, they're usually already running down some type of module or some modified module. So the idea of bringing up that you were raped or some connection there is so far removed already. It's just fluff. It's just background. And the other thing is that most of these characters, from what I've gotten and seen people, they don't play the first generation half-orc. They usually have played it a couple lines down the road, where it is significantly removed. Not saying that's good or bad, I'm just saying that's what I've seen, and I'm not going to force people to say, you have to be the product of rape. I may be the DM, but I'm not going to steal what little power people have over their character. I'm not going to steal the autonomy over their character because I, as the DM, have so much power to do so much. Taking away seems to be rather monstrous and vicious to a player. Please check out Dawnforgecast, and really good. Though, maybe with me, when it comes down to half-orcs, and I would suggest, hey, you want to be doing the angle of product of rape, is that I will try to bring that type of heritage and background into your life, not try to mess it up and manipulate it. Essentially, if you can roleplay well with your heritage, your background, characters from your past, I give you perks and bonuses. And that's kind of one of the reasons why, with the idea of half-orc rape, why my idea is, if you're going to do this, if you have this, I'm going to encourage role-playing. And I'm going to encourage role-playing your backgrounds, your pasts, your perks, your disadvantages, your flaws. Because, in my eyes, this is what makes everyone fall in love with the game and enjoy themselves so much more, is that if you start focusing on all the nuances of what makes you who you are, it usually builds a better game because it allows people to play off of each other. Thank you for listening. Please tell me what you think. Check out Dawnforgecast and Nerdyarchy. We'll be doing videos on them and what they've said. But thank you and good night.